Imagine a universe that is not merely a collection of lonely stars, but a single, interconnected masterpiece of glowing silk. Picture these titanic bridges of primordial hydrogen gas stretching across millions of light years, anchoring every single galaxy in a vast three-dimensional tapestry that defines the largest known pattern in existence. This is the secret architecture of the night, a silent, shimmering framework where our own Milky Way is but a tiny, flickering spark on a thread that spans the infinite dark. Deep within this luminous lattice lie the true masters of space, the cosmic voids, immense and chilling chasms of absolute nothingness that dominate the overwhelming volume of reality. Surprisingly, the web is mostly empty air, a hollow and sacred cathedral where the silence is so absolute, it provides the black ink required to write the story of starlight. These desolate deserts are the great frozen expanses where time itself seems to slow to a crawl, waiting patiently for the light to cross the divide between the stars. This majestic connection is currently locked in a silent and titanic struggle, a gravitational tug-of-war against the relentless invisible expansion of space itself. If we were to look closer, we would see the delicate threads of the web being stretched to their breaking point, fighting to maintain their structural integrity before the encroaching darkness pulls the clusters into final isolation. Every moment of our existence is a slow, rhythmic heartbeat in this struggle, a temporary victory of connection over the absolute void. This grand celestial conflict is unfolding far above the reach of our atmosphere, while you remain perfectly still and protected in the sanctuary of your own quiet room. You are safe. These wonders are yours to inherit as you sleep, a vast and radiant legacy of light that you may explore from the profound, welcoming comfort of your own bed as your eyes close. The journey begins now, at the edge of the familiar, where the scattered diamonds of the night sky give way to the infinite glowing rivers of the deep intergalactic cosmos. Your breath becomes a slow and steady tide, your body sinks into the soft mattress, and your mind prepares to drift through the absolute freezing dark. Deep within the cosmos, far beyond the familiar scattered diamonds of our local night sky, a vast network of glowing threads connects everything we can see. Deep within the cosmos, far beyond the familiar scattered diamonds of our local night sky, a vast network of glowing threads connects everything we can see. It is a silent architecture, suspended in the absolute freezing dark, pulsing with the faint cool glow of primordial hydrogen gas. This is not a universe of isolated islands, but a deeply intertwined organism of light and gravity. To perceive it requires stepping back across millions of light years, letting the individual galaxies blur into continuous flowing rivers of matter. Here, the true shape of reality reveals itself as an endlessly branching tapestry, stretching across the silent void. The sheer scale defies earthly comprehension, as entire superclusters of star cities become nothing more than tiny dust motes caught in these immense glowing strands. Every star that has ever burned, every planet that has ever formed, owes its existence to this magnificent, unseen framework. The faint illumination of these threads tells a story of cosmic dawn, whispering of a time when the first lights flickered on in the darkness. We are but temporary passengers, riding along a single, infinitesimally small fibre of this grand cosmic web. This immense cosmic structure easily forms the largest known pattern in the entire observable universe. When we look out into the deepest reaches of space, we are actually gazing upon the cross-sections of these titanic interwoven filaments. They span distances so incomprehensible that a beam of light, the fastest entity in existence, would exhaust billions of years just travelling from one node to another. Grasping the magnitude of this pattern requires abandoning all human intuition regarding size and distance. The glowing trails of cool hydrogen gas map out a geography of existence that dwarfs even the most colossal galaxy clusters. It is a structure without a centre and without an edge, repeating its delicate, thread-like motifs into the unseen infinite. Within this boundless geometry, the silence of the void is absolute, yet the visual spectacle hums with silent energy. The largest objects we can fathom are merely atoms making up the molecular chain of this ultimate cosmic body. To trace these lines is to trace the very boundaries of the physical universe itself. Surprisingly, the universe resembles a colossal, three-dimensional spiderweb rather than the random, even scattering of stars we once imagined. For centuries, humanity envisioned a cosmos filled with celestial bodies distributed like sand tossed haphazardly across an infinite black canvas. Yet, the reality is far more structured, intricately woven with delicate precision by the unseen hands of gravity over eons. These long luminescent strands of cooling hydrogen intersect and diverge, creating a breathtaking lacework suspended against the ultimate darkness. The galaxies do not wander aimlessly. They cling to these gossamer threads like dewdrops shimmering on a morning web. It is a masterful, delicate architecture where matter is highly organized, flowing along predetermined pathways carved out by the initial conditions of creation. If we were to look closer at this galactic silk, we would see it shimmering with the residual heat of ancient cosmic collisions. The faint, cool glow serves as a map of density, charting the invisible currents that dictate the motion of billions of star systems. We are inhabitants of a spectacular, sprawling labyrinth of light. Astronomers painstakingly map these delicate strands by observing the piercing ancient light of distant quasars as it filters through the void. These quasars, acting as the ultimate cosmic lighthouses, shine with the ferocity of trillions of suns, sending their brilliant beams across the deepest stretches of time and space. As this ancient illumination travels toward our telescopes, it must pierce through the intervening rivers of invisible gas. Each time the light encounters a strand of the cosmic web, the cool hydrogen gas absorbs specific wavelengths, leaving a distinct shadow or fingerprint in the spectrum. By decoding these faint, missing slices of light, scientists can trace the hidden silhouettes of the filaments in the dark. It is a process akin to seeing the shape of breath in the freezing air, illuminated only by a distant, flickering street lamp. This celestial cartography reveals the ghost-like presence of the web, proving that the seemingly empty darkness is teeming with diffuse matter. The faint glow of hydrogen may be entirely imperceptible to the naked eye, but it cannot hide from the brilliant backlighting of the universe's most powerful engines. Through this shadow play, the invisible becomes undeniably real. Hydrogen gas, the simplest and most abundant element in existence, makes up the vast bulk of the visible material in these magnificent intergalactic bridges. It is the primordial dust left over from the dawn of time, cooling and stretching across the immense silent expanses between the galaxy clusters. This faint, cool glow is the gentle signature of a universe still settling into its majestic final form. Unlike the blazing, chaotic infernos of active star-forming regions, this gas rests in a state of profound, chilled serenity. It drifts in almost unimaginable thinness, a ghostly mist so diffuse that a volume the size of the Earth might contain only a handful of atoms. Yet, because these filaments stretch for hundreds of millions of light years, this sparse fog accumulates into an ocean of staggering mass. This ethereal plasma serves as the ultimate reservoir of raw cosmic building blocks, waiting patiently in the freezing dark. As gravity slowly pulls this gentle mist together, it provides the essential fuel for future generations of blazing stars. The entire tapestry of the night sky relies entirely upon this silent, glowing scaffolding of fundamental matter. Stretching across millions of light years, a single unbroken filament can host many thousands of brilliant galaxies along its length. These structures are the superhighways of the cosmos, dictating the flow of matter and the destiny of star cities with an inescapable gravitational grip. Each glowing point of light strung along the thread represents billions of individual stars, countless planetary systems, and unfathomable potential for life. To travel along one of these majestic routes would be to witness a procession of spiralling pinwheels, elliptical giants, and chaotic dwarf galaxies, all marching in silent synchrony. The cool, diffuse hydrogen gas acts as a riverbed, guiding these massive galactic vessels through the expansive, freezing darkness. They are bound together not by physical contact, but by the relentless, invisible tension of the web itself. These populated strands stand as monuments to the triumph of gravity over the sheer isolating scale of the void. They are bustling archipelagos of light and energy, completely isolated from neighbouring threads by unbridgeable oceans of nothingness. Within these colossal structures, the history of the universe is continually written in the slow, agonising collisions and spectacular mergers of island universes. The desolate spaces between these illuminated threads form immense, terrifyingly empty bubbles universally known as cosmic voids. While the filaments teem with the faint glow of gas and the bright spiralling of galaxies, these spherical deserts are defined by their absolute, suffocating lack of matter. They are the negative space of the grand tapestry, regions where gravity has successfully evacuated nearly every trace of starlight and warmth. Plunging into one of these deep, silent chasms, a traveller would find themselves enveloped in a darkness so profound it borders on the psychological. The cool glow of the distant hydrogen web would recede into a faint, unreachable boundary, leaving behind a terrifying, undisturbed isolation. Within these deep valleys of nothingness, the silence is not merely an absence of sound, but an absence of physical reality itself. These vast expanses are crucial to the architecture of the web, acting as the inflated balloons that push and compress the surrounding gas into tightly woven strands. They are the driving force behind the web's intricate geometry, carving out the boundaries of the great cosmic rivers. The universe, it seems, is defined just as much by what is missing as by what is present. Supercomputer simulations crunching mathematical equations that govern gravity and dark matter beautifully mirror the actual distribution of galaxies we see through our most powerful telescopes. When scientists program the initial conditions of the Big Bang and let time run forward digitally, the virtual universe spontaneously weaves itself into this exact same filigree of light. It is a stunning validation of human logic, proving that our fundamental understanding of cosmic forces aligns perfectly with the silent reality of the void. Watching these digital models evolve is like observing the accelerated growth of a magnificent glowing fungus spreading across a pitch-black petri dish. The simulated hydrogen gas cools, collapses and stretches into familiar brilliant threads, perfectly replicating the faint cool glow observed in the real night sky. The mathematical perfection of these models reveals the deterministic beauty of the universe, where chaos inevitably yields to grand, organised structure. This deep harmony between human-made algorithms and the ancient physical cosmos bridges the gap between the abstract mind and the tangible universe. It suggests that the magnificent bridges of galaxies are not random accidents, but the inescapable, elegant conclusion of physical laws. We have learned to dream the universe exactly as it is. Every single galaxy we have ever known, including our very own swirling Milky Way, rests securely upon one of these magnificent strands. We are not adrift in a featureless infinite ocean, but rather firmly anchored to a specific glowing tributary within the grander cosmic watershed. Our solar system, our planet, and our very existence are entirely localized phenomena happening on the edge of a massive invisible hydrogen river. Looking up at the night sky, we are essentially peering out from within the thickest part of our local filament, looking through the glowing gas toward the vast emptiness beyond. We share this specific thread with our neighbour Andromeda, bound together by the same local gravitational currents flowing through the chilling dark. This realization shatters the illusion of earthly isolation, connecting us directly to a structure that spans the entirety of creation. Our cosmic address is defined not just by our sun, but by our position on this delicate, shimmering fibre suspended in the void. We are an integral, vibrating part of the web, moving gracefully along the invisible tracks laid down at the dawn of time. To understand our home is to understand the magnificent thread that holds us. Inconceivably fast, light still takes absolute eons just to cross the mere width of a single, delicate cosmic thread. To the entire universe, these filaments appear as whisper-thin lines of faint, cool gas, yet up close, their girth is measured in millions of light-years. A photon born on one side of a filament will travel through the chilling void for millions of generations before finally emerging from the other side. This staggering scale warps our understanding of time, turning the crossing of a single cosmic bridge into an epic multi-million-year odyssey. The glowing hydrogen gas that makes up the bulk of the structure is not a tight, solid cable, but a vast, sprawling cloud that dwarfs any human concept of thickness. To traverse it is to fly continuously through an endless, silent fog of primordial matter, punctuated only rarely by the passing warmth of a galaxy. The web is so unfathomably huge that it practically renders the speed of light a slow, agonizing crawl through the absolute freezing dark. We are trapped in a magnificent slow-motion reality, where the grandest structures can only be truly perceived by stepping outside of time itself. The cosmic web stands as the ultimate testament to the terrifying, beautiful immensity of the universe. Stepping outside of time itself reveals that this terrifying, beautiful immensity did not emerge by accident, but from the most microscopic tremors of existence. Long ago, tiny quantum fluctuations in the embryonic universe laid the infallible blueprint for these grand structures. Before stars or galaxies even existed, subatomic jitters created infinitesimal variations in the density of the newborn cosmos. These invisible ripples were like the faintest whispers in a rapidly expanding balloon, stretching outward as the fabric of space itself unfurled. Areas with just a fraction of a percent more matter began to exert a minuscule but decisive gravitational pull. It is a profound paradox that the largest architecture we can observe was born from the smallest conceivable anomalies in particle physics. The rhythmic hum of ancient light still carries the fading memory of these microscopic tremors. To understand the sweeping filaments we see today, we must first picture a chaotic, boiling soup of energy, where nothing was completely smooth. Out of that microscopic imperfection, the majestic geometry of the cosmos was irreversibly ordained. As the cosmos cooled, gravity slowly coaxed the surrounding primordial matter to gather along these invisible fault lines over unimaginable time frames. It was a patient, relentless process, operating in absolute darkness long before the dawn of stellar ignition. The slightly denser regions acted as gravitational magnets, steadily drawing in the diffuse fog of creation. This slow accumulation formed the vital arteries of the celestial network, carving deep channels through the expanding emptiness. The matter did not simply collapse inward into isolated spheres, but rather flowed gracefully along the interconnected paths of those original quantum ripples. It was a silent, sprawling choreography of mass migrating across the freezing void. We can almost feel the weight of these eons passing as we rest here, our bodies heavy and relaxed, tethered to our own tiny pocket of gravity. Just as our muscles surrender tension to the ground beneath us, the early universe surrendered to the inexorable pull of these gathering threads. The foundation of reality was poured in silence, drop by agonizingly slow drop. Eventually, within these narrow corridors of concentrated ancient gas, the pressure reached a critical threshold, and the first-generation stars violently ignited. These were not the gentle, long-lived yellow suns we know today, but ferocious, monstrous giants burning with blinding blue intensity. Their fiery birth ended the cosmic dark ages in a brilliant, explosive awakening. These colossal pioneers clustered tightly along the densest ridges of the newborn filaments, illuminating the invisible web for the very first time. They lived fast and died in spectacular supernovae, seeding the pristine hydrogen rivers with heavier elements forged in their volatile cores. The threads became vibrant highways of light, pulsing with the brutal energy of creation and destruction. The rhythmic hum of their ancient starlight is only now reaching our distant detectors, a faint echo of a spectacular epoch. These primitive beacons mapped the intersections of the network, burning like signal fires along a sprawling cosmic archipelago. It was a brief, violent era that forever altered the chemical makeup of the glowing strands. Remarkably, the afterglow of the universe's fiery birth still echoes the embryonic shape of the web, frozen in an omnidirectional wash of energy. This pervasive signal, washing over us continuously, provides a perfect infant portrait of the filamentary network. By mapping the microscopic temperature variations in this ancient light, scientists can trace the exact locations of the primordial fault lines. It is as though the cosmos took a single, perfectly timed photograph of its own skeletal structure just as the fog of early plasma finally cleared. The hotter spots in this background radiation correspond directly to the dense clusters where matter was actively gathering. Conversely, the cooler patches represent the earliest beginnings of the vast expanding emptiness that would eventually become the desolate voids. This static hiss is the oldest light we can ever perceive, a continuous drumbeat of data travelling for over 13 billion years. As you breathe in and out, feeling the steady rhythm of your own pulse, know that you're safely bathed in this ancient rhythmic hum. It is the inescapable background music of existence, playing the chord of creation over and over again. If we were to travel back to that vibrant epoch, we would find that ancient filaments were vastly denser and hotter than the stretched-out versions we observe in the present era. The distances between the grand celestial intersections were much shorter, packing the sprawling architecture into a tighter, more energetic configuration. The interstellar gas boiled with the frantic activity of newly formed stellar giants and merging proto-galaxies. The gravitational wells of these thick ancient rivers were intensely steep, drawing in surrounding matter with violent churning currents. It was a time of brutal cosmic construction, where the peaceful, chilled serenity of the modern web had not yet been established. The glowing threads were thick ropes of searing plasma, continuously bombarded by the shockwaves of exploding stars. Observing these early structures is like looking at a densely woven tapestry before it has been stretched across a massive frame. The brilliant chaotic energy of the era meant the very fabric of the network was constantly shifting, heavy with the thick fog of unrefined elements. Time had not yet diluted the sheer, suffocating intensity of the early cosmos. Over the succeeding aeons, the relentless engine of cosmic expansion has continuously pulled and thinned these majestic structures into their delicate modern forms. The space between the threads grew, stretching the once thick ropes of hot plasma into the whisper-thin strands we study today. It is a profound, unstoppable unwinding of the initial densely packed architecture. As the fabric of space inflated, the fierce heat of the early gas dissipated, radiating away into the growing, terrifyingly empty voids. The intense proximity of the newborn star cities was replaced by vast, lonely distances, calming the frantic collisions of the ancient era. The grand network cooled, transitioning from a chaotic furnace into a serene, frozen architecture of faint light. This stretching continues at this very moment, a slow, inexorable pulling that dictates the ultimate fate of the glowing rivers. Allow your shoulders to drop entirely, letting your muscles soften as you visualize this grand, universal relaxation. The cosmos itself is gently stretching out, spreading its glowing tendrils into the ever-widening dark. Peering into the deepest recesses of the ancient cosmos, modern observatories reveal primitive galaxies already aligning in distinct, unmistakable linear patterns. Long before they had fully matured into the majestic spirals we recognize today, these stellar assemblies were strictly obeying the invisible geometry of the web. They formed like pearls on a string, strung along the dense gravitational valleys carved by the primordial matter. These infant star cities did not scatter randomly. Their positions were entirely predetermined by the dense rivers of gas feeding them. They oriented their rotations and growth to align with the flow of the filaments, twisting perfectly in sync with the cosmic currents. It is a stunning display of order emerging amidst the chaotic birth of the early universe. By capturing the ancient light of these distant alignments, we witness the initial assembly line of celestial mechanics. The structure of reality was clearly dictated from the top down, with the grandest scales organising the formation of the smallest components. We are seeing the magnificent scaffolding at the very moment it began to support the crushing weight of creation. During this initial rapid growth phase, the mysterious repulsive force known as dark energy had remarkably little influence on the thickening web. Gravity was the undisputed architect of the era, pulling matter together with absolute authority, unimpeded by the expanding push that dominates the modern age. The universe was small enough and dense enough that the attractive forces easily overpowered the subtle tendency of space to tear itself apart. This golden age of structure formation allowed the filaments to weave themselves deeply into the fabric of reality without interruption. Had dark energy been stronger in those early days, the delicate fault lines would have been ripped apart before the first stars could even ignite. The cosmos experienced a perfect temporary window of stability, just long enough to build the magnificent bridges. The rhythmic hum of light from this era tells a story of unimpeded connection, a time when the universe was dedicated entirely to building and drawing inward. It is peaceful to consider this era of pure constructive gravity, while resting safely in your own quiet space. We exist today only because that unseen architect was allowed millions of years to work in total, uninterrupted silence. Because the network was so dense and undisturbed, this ancient scaffolding allowed the first supermassive black holes to feed and grow in relative peace. Nestled deep within the thickest intersections of the hot gas rivers, these dark behemoths gorged themselves on an endless supply of pristine matter. The filaments acted as direct pipelines, funneling unfathomable amounts of material straight into their crushing event horizons. These early singularities grew to terrifying proportions much faster than previously predicted, entirely because the web provided such an efficient, steady delivery system. They did not have to wander the void searching for fuel. The entire structure of the universe was actively pouring sustenance into their immense depths. The resulting torrent of energy from this feeding frenzy produced the brightest, most piercing lights ever to shine in the darkness. The shadows of these ancient giants still anchor the largest nodes of the modern web, serving as massive gravitational linchpins. They are the sleeping dragons of the cosmos, forged in the dense, chaotic heart of the early network. Their rapid, undisturbed growth is a direct testament to the staggering density of the primordial rivers. Ultimately, tracing the delicate glowing threads backward in time provides a flawless, immutable record of cosmic evolution from the very beginning. Because light takes so long to traverse the void, looking further away is literally looking deeper into the past, turning the web into a sprawling three-dimensional time machine. We can see every stage of the network's life simply by shifting our gaze to deeper, older layers of the dark. To understand this unbroken chain is to realize that the universe is not just a place, but a magnificent ongoing event. The threads of the ancients still surround us, quietly pulling, stretching, and shining through the freezing emptiness. We are standing inside the greatest living archive in existence, watching the memory of creation slowly unfold. As the memory of creation unfolds, it reveals that the visible universe is merely a ghost story dictated by invisible forces commanding the architecture of the cosmos through an unseen substance called dark matter. What we perceive as reality, the blazing stars, the swirling gas, the radiant energy, is nothing more than a superficial layer resting upon a vastly larger hidden foundation. The true architects of the grand design operate entirely in the shadows, exerting a relentless invisible pull. Without this phantom presence, the delicate threads of glowing hydrogen would lack the necessary mass to hold themselves together across the freezing emptiness. It is this unseen material that dictates the flow of cosmic rivers, weaving the intricate lacework that spans the void. We are living in a universe largely composed of something we can neither see, touch, nor directly measure. The silent, heavy ocean of dark matter completely surrounds us, ignoring our light and our physical laws, yet dictating the motion of everything we know. Its immense gravity acts as the unbreakable mortar, holding the bricks of the visible universe in place. To look up at the night sky is to look at a play where the most important actors are entirely invisible. In truth, dark matter filaments provide the indispensable colossal gravitational skeleton for the visible gas and galaxies to cling to. The luminous matter we observe is simply following the deep invisible valleys carved out by this much heavier hidden substance. Where the dark matter gathers in thick invisible cords, the ordinary matter naturally pools and ignites. This hidden framework is what gives the cosmic web its rigid, geometric stability over billions of years. If the universe were composed only of the gas and stars we can see, the delicate strands would have long since dissipated into the surrounding voids. The dark skeleton remains firm, providing a permanent, indestructible track for the celestial bodies to travel along. As you sit quietly, feel the solid support of your chair or bed beneath you, anchoring you in place. Just as that physical structure supports your resting body, the dark matter skeleton provides the fundamental support system for the entire observable universe. It is the unseen bedrock upon which all of creation safely rests. Without this hidden framework, the aggressively spinning galaxies would simply fly apart, scattering their precious stars into the unforgiving emptiness. The visible mass of a galaxy is shockingly insufficient to maintain its own rotation. The outer edges move so fast that they should logically rip free and vanish into the dark. It is only the overwhelming, invisible grip of a surrounding dark matter halo that prevents complete disintegration. Every majestic spiral and every massive elliptical star city is securely embedded within a much larger spherical cocoon of this mysterious substance. These invisible anchors keep the cosmic islands intact, preventing the ferocious energy of their own movement from tearing them asunder. The very cohesion of the universe relies entirely on this unseen, stabilizing force. This silent rescue operation happens continuously, at every moment, in every corner of the sky. The dark matter acts as an invisible cosmic glue, patiently holding the violently energetic pieces of reality together. We owe our existence to a substance that refuses to interact with our light, yet tirelessly protects our galactic home. Consequently, ordinary matter acts merely as a thin, luminous coat of paint smeared lightly over this massive, dark structure. Everything we consider to be real, the planets, the nebulas, our own bodies, represents only a tiny fraction of the universe's total mass. The spectacular visual display of the cosmos is essentially a minor byproduct of the dark matter's dominant gravitational architecture. When we map the glowing threads of hydrogen, we're essentially tracing the glowing frost that has accumulated on an invisible window pane. The true shape and volume of the web are defined entirely by the unseen substance, with the visible matter merely highlighting its sharpest contours. We're observing the symptoms of gravity, not the source. The silent, heavy ocean commands the currents, while the ordinary matter simply rides the waves, occasionally splashing into brilliance. It is a humbling realization that the entirety of human knowledge is based on observing only the thinnest veneer of reality. The true depth of the cosmos remains shrouded in absolute impenetrable darkness. Astronomers ingeniously detect these dark rivers not by looking for light, but by measuring how their immense gravity bends the light from distant background objects. This phenomenon, known as gravitational lensing, allows the unseen mass to act as a colossal, invisible magnifying glass suspended in the void. As ancient light travels past a dark matter filament, its path is subtly curved and distorted by the sheer weight of the unseen structure. By carefully studying the distorted shapes of distant background galaxies, scientists can essentially map the invisible topography of the intervening dark matter. If a distant circle of light appears stretched into an arc, it reveals the exact location and mass of the hidden object bending it. It is a brilliant method of deducing the presence of the unseen by observing its influence on the visible. Through this elegant technique, the phantom skeleton of the universe is slowly being drawn out of the shadows. The dark matter may refuse to shine, but it cannot hide its immense weight from the delicate geometry of travelling light. The silent ocean leaves its unmistakable footprint in the warped reflections of the deep cosmos. Surprisingly, the dark matter behaves remarkably like a fluid, flowing smoothly and continuously along the designated cosmic highways. It does not clump together violently like ordinary gas, nor does it collide and create friction. It simply passes through itself in silent sweeping currents. This frictionless movement allows it to maintain the smooth, continuous lines of the grand architectural web. These dark rivers flow continuously toward the densest intersections, carrying the ordinary matter along for the ride. The flow is silent, inexorable, and completely devoid of the chaotic collisions that define the visible universe. It is a majestic, slow-motion migration of mass that dictates the ultimate evolution of the galactic landscape. Take a deep breath and feel the air flowing smoothly into your lungs, a gentle, continuous current of life. The universe breathes in much the same way, with rivers of dark fluid silently flowing along the great cosmic veins. It is a peaceful, continuous circulation that nourishes the glowing nodes of the network. When intersecting dark matter streams finally collide, they create massive gravitational wells that effortlessly trap any passing galaxies. These junctions become the metropolitan hubs of the cosmos, where the silent flow of the unseen ocean pools into deep, inescapable basins. Once a galaxy is swept into one of these invisible whirlpools, it is permanently bound to the growing celestial city. These dark matter nodes are the most massive structures in existence, exerting a pull so strong that not even the fastest moving star systems can escape. They act as cosmic storm drains, slowly gathering all the material flowing along the connected filaments into a single, highly concentrated area. The resulting environment is crowded, violent, and brilliantly illuminated by the trapped, colliding matter. The unseen substance dictates where these grand gatherings will occur, silently organizing the universe into isolated pockets of extreme density. The visible universe is entirely at the mercy of these dark, intersecting currents. We're all drifting toward a spectacular, inevitable congregation, orchestrated by the phantom mass. To grasp the true scale of this silent influence, one must understand that this mysterious substance outmasses the visible stars and gas by a staggering factor. For every ounce of glowing hydrogen or burning star stuff, there are roughly 5 ounces of completely invisible, undetectable mass. The ordinary matter we have spent millennia studying is essentially a minor impurity in a universe dominated by the dark. This overwhelming ratio dictates the entire future of cosmic evolution, as the sheer gravitational weight of the dark matter completely overpowers the visible components. The glowing web is merely a fragile passenger on a much heavier, unseen vessel steering through the void. Our visible reality is a tiny, bright anomaly in a predominantly dark and heavy cosmos. The true bulk of the universe is completely alien to our senses, existing in a state we can scarcely imagine. It is a silent, heavy ocean that dwarfs everything we hold familiar, a profound reminder of our own insignificance. The stars are merely the sparkling foam on the surface of an unfathomably deep, dark sea. Currently, deep underground detectors on Earth, buried under miles of solid rock to shield them from cosmic noise, are quietly searching for the exotic particles that might make up this cosmic scaffolding. These highly sensitive instruments wait in absolute darkness, hoping to catch the faintest, rarest collision between a dark matter particle and a normal atom. It is a search for a phantom, requiring pristine isolation and unimaginable patience. These subterranean laboratories represent our best effort to touch the unseen, to capture a single drop of the silent ocean that surrounds us. If successful, catching such a particle would finally bridge the gap between the grand, macroscopic architecture of the cosmos and the microscopic world of quantum physics. It would be the ultimate revelation, unmasking the silent architect of the universe. As you relax, picture these silent detectors deep beneath the Earth's surface, waiting patiently in the quiet dark. They mirror our own stillness, listening intently for the faintest whisper from the heavy unseen universe. We are reaching into the shadows, hoping to finally understand the unseen forces that hold us together. Yet, despite decades of relentless searching, the precise nature of dark matter remains one of the most serene, enduring mysteries of modern physics. We know exactly how it behaves on a galactic scale, how it bends light and holds the web together, but we remain entirely ignorant of what it actually is. It is a profound, beautiful enigma that continues to humble our greatest scientific minds. This enduring mystery ensures that the universe retains a sense of deep, inaccessible wonder. The silent, heavy ocean that commands the cosmos refuses to yield its secrets easily, forcing us to constantly reevaluate our understanding of reality. The dark matter is a constant reminder that the universe is far stranger and far more complex than our glowing, visible fraction suggests. We are left to marvel at the invisible architecture, tracing the glowing threads while acknowledging the massive, silent presence that makes them possible. The universe is a masterpiece of light and shadow, and the shadows currently hold the greatest power. The unseen gravitational pull will continue to guide our journey, even as we remain blind to its true face. Deep within the masterpiece of light and shadow, the darkness finally yields to the blinding brilliance of galactic nodes where the grand cosmic rivers converge. These are the radiant reservoirs of the universe, points of staggering concentration where the faint, cool threads of hydrogen gas meet and spill their contents into massive glowing basins of starfire. Multiple filaments, stretching across millions of light years, intersect at these junctions to create the most crowded and energetic environments in existence. The visual of these intersections is one of blinding, concentrated warmth, a sharp contrast to the chilling isolation of the surrounding voids. Here, the architecture of the web changes from long, delicate strands into dense, spherical hearts of light that pulse with the combined energy of thousands of individual galaxies. To witness such a node is to see the very pulse of the cosmos, a place where the silent flow of the intergalactic highways reaches its spectacular crowded destination. Within these glowing hubs, the sheer density of matter creates an environment where the very concept of empty space begins to dissolve. The filaments act as umbilical cords, feeding these growing metropolitan centres with a constant stream of fresh gas and wandering star systems. It is a grand, luminous gathering that defines the structural peaks of the entire cosmic tapestry. This structure represents the peak of cosmic organisation, forming the most massive gravitationally bound objects in the known universe. While the filaments themselves are far larger in extent, they are often loose and fragile, susceptible to being pulled apart by the expansion of space. In contrast, the galactic nodes are self-contained behemoths that have achieved a state of gravitational equilibrium, holding their massive contents together with an uncompromising, fierce grip. The weight of such a structure is almost beyond calculation, encompassing the mass of trillions of suns concentrated into a relatively small region of the void. This overwhelming concentration of mass anchors the surrounding web, acting as a heavy anchor point that prevents the local threads from drifting aimlessly. They are the fixed landmarks in a shifting universe, providing the fundamental stability required for large-scale structure to endure for billions of years. Grasping the scale of these nodes requires us to look past the individual stars and see the collective weight of the dark matter and gas that binds them. These are not merely groups of galaxies, they are singular, unified entities that dominate the local geometry of space and time. They stand as the ultimate triumph of gravity over the persistent, thinning influence of cosmic expansion. Gravity relentlessly pulls galaxies along the threads toward these colossal metropolitan hubs, creating a one-way migration across the freezing void. This movement is not chaotic, but follows the predetermined paths laid out by the dark matter scaffolding that defines the filamentary rivers. Like lights on a distant shore, these nodes beckon all surrounding matter, drawing in everything from isolated dwarf galaxies to massive spiraling star cities. As galaxies enter the influence of the node, their pace quickens, caught in a gravitational downhill slide that leads toward the dense, brightly lit center. This migration ensures that the nodes are constantly growing, accumulating more mass and more light with every passing eon. The filaments effectively serve as cosmic conveyor belts, delivering the raw materials of the universe to these vast central processing centers. The Virgo cluster serves as the nearest major node to our own galactic neighborhood, sitting as the local throne of gravitational power in our region of space. Though it lies 50 million light-years away, a distance that light takes eons to cross, its influence is felt by every star and planet within the Milky Way. We are not an island. We are a suburb of this massive celestial city, caught in its subtle but persistent pull. By studying the Virgo cluster, we gain a front-row seat to the dynamics of a maturing galactic node, observing how it shapes the motion of hundreds of nearby galaxies. It is a crowded, vibrant environment where the proximity of massive neighbours creates a complex web of tidal interactions and star formation. As you sit quietly, feel the grounding presence of the Earth beneath you, a stable platform from which we observe our slow drift toward this massive neighbour. This proximity allows us to map the individual strands of gas that connect our local group to the Virgo heart, tracing the umbilical lines of our own cosmic history. Our home is just one small component of a much larger, interconnected system that leads directly to the core of this local node. To understand the Virgo cluster is to understand the inevitable future of our own corner of the universe. Temperatures inside these clusters soar to tens of millions of degrees due to constant cosmic collisions and the violent compression of falling gas. As galaxies and gas clouds plunge into the node at thousands of miles per second, their immense kinetic energy is converted into raw, searing heat upon impact. This process creates a superheated atmosphere that permeates the entire cluster, far hotter than the surface of any star. This searing environment is a realm of unimaginable violence masked by a facade of frozen, crystalline stillness when viewed from afar. The atoms within this plasma move with such ferocity that they are stripped of their electrons, creating a sea of charged particles that vibrates with intense thermal energy. It is a paradox of the deep cosmos. The most crowded regions are also the most volatile and thermally extreme. This heat is a direct byproduct of the node's massive gravitational well, which acts as a furnace for the matter it collects. The deeper the well, the faster the matter falls, and the higher the temperature rises within the cluster's heart. It is a blindingly warm environment where the very nature of matter is transformed by the crushing proximity of its neighbours. Surprisingly, the intergalactic gas at these crowded cosmic junctions glows brightly in X-ray light, revealing a hidden landscape that is invisible to our eyes. While traditional telescopes see the brilliant pinpoints of individual galaxies, X-ray observatories reveal a single, continuous cloud of luminescent plasma that fills the entire volume of the node. This intracluster medium actually contains significantly more mass than all the billions of stars within the cluster combined. This glowing X-ray fog serves as a glowing ghost of the cluster's history, mapping out the areas where the most intense gravitational squeezing is taking place. The brightness of the X-ray emission allows astronomers to calculate the exact mass of the node, including the hidden dark matter that anchors it. It is a brilliant invisible beacon that signals the location of the universe's most massive intersections across billions of light years. If we were to look closer with X-ray vision, we would see that the galaxies are not swimming through empty space, but are wading through a thick, energetic ocean of gas. This medium acts as a drag on the galaxies, slowly stripping away their own internal reservoirs of cool gas and altering their evolution forever. The node is a transformative environment where the very atmosphere dictates the fate of the star cities trapped within it. Entire galaxies are occasionally ripped apart by the intense gravitational forces present at the nodes, their stars scattered like loose grains of sand across the intergalactic void. As a galaxy passes too close to the dense centre of the cluster, the tidal forces, the difference in gravity between its near and far sides, become so strong that the galaxy can no longer hold itself together. It is a violent unravelling where spiralling arms are stretched into long, thin ribbons of light before dissolving into a diffuse glow. As you lie here, notice the softness of your breath, a gentle contrast to the violent structural dismantling occurring in these distant cosmic hubs. These orphan stars, no longer bound to any single galaxy, now wander the space between the star cities, contributing to a faint, ghostly light that permeates the entire cluster. This process of tidal stripping is a fundamental part of the node's growth, as it consumes its neighbours to increase its own central mass. The resulting debris fields are a testament to the uncompromising power of the node's core. Over billions of years, these intersections become littered with the remains of destroyed galaxies, creating a graveyard of light that surrounds the surviving star cities. It is a cycle of destruction and consolidation that fuels the most massive structures in the cosmos. Despite the immense energy and destruction, these regions hold a majestic, slow-motion beauty when viewed from the safety of the distant void. The mergers of galaxies and the flow of superheated gas happen over such vast timescales that they appear frozen in a state of eternal golden grace. From our distant perspective, the violence of a cluster collision is transformed into a serene, glowing tableau of cosmic architecture. This distance allows us to appreciate the nodes as the crown jewels of the cosmic web, sparkling at the intersections of the great hydrogen rivers. They represent the highest expression of order in the universe, where the chaotic movements of individual stars are harmonized into a single, massive rhythm. It is a grand, silent opera of light, where the birth and death of entire galaxies contribute to the enduring brilliance of the cluster. To look upon a node is to see the universe's attempt to overcome the isolation of the void through the sheer force of connection. Even in their destruction, the galaxies find a new collective identity within the massive heart of the cluster. The beauty of the node is the beauty of a grand convergence, a place where everything finally comes together. The Coma cluster reigns as one of the most spectacular, densely packed nodes in our local universe, hosting over 1,000 identified galaxies in a perfectly spherical concentration. Its heart is dominated by two massive elliptical giants, bloated behemoths that have reached their current size by systematically swallowing smaller neighbours over eons. This cluster is a prime example of a relaxed node, where gravity has had enough time to pull everything into a state of smooth, symmetrical perfection. If we were to look closer at this cosmic metropolis, we would see an environment so crowded that the very concept of empty space begins to vanish between the star cities. The density of galaxies in the core of Coma is hundreds of times higher than in our own quiet neighbourhood, leading to a constant state of interaction and energy exchange. It is a shining monument to the power of gravity to organise and concentrate matter into its most extreme forms. This cluster serves as a standard candle for astronomers, a perfect laboratory for studying how high-density environments affect the life and death of stars. Every galaxy within it carries the scars of its environment, from stripped-off gas to distorted shapes caused by the proximity of its neighbours. The Coma cluster is a window into the final, crowded destination of all matter currently flowing through the cosmic web. Eventually, almost all matter in the surrounding filaments will drain into these blindingly bright intersections, leaving the threads empty and the voids even more desolate. The cosmic web is effectively a system of pipes leading to these massive reservoirs, ensuring that the future of the universe is one of concentrated, brilliant islands separated by infinite darkness. It is a slow, inevitable emptying of the veins into the heart of the cosmos, a final act of gravitational consolidation. As the filaments thin out and the gas is consumed by the nodes, the grand lacework of the web will slowly fade, replaced by isolated, massive clusters of light. These intersections will become the last refugees of activity in an expanding universe, holding on to their matter even as the space between them grows toward infinity. The nodes are the endpoints of the cosmic journey, the final destinations for every atom travelling through the dark. This realization brings a sense of profound closure to the story of the filaments. The web is not a permanent structure, but a temporary bridge leading to these final, spectacular gatherings. We are living in the age of the thread, but the future belongs entirely to the brilliance of the galactic node. The brilliance of the galactic node eventually yields to the chilling, absolute silence of vast stretches of nothingness, known as cosmic voids. These immense chasms represent the dominant volume of the universe, far outstripping the space occupied by glowing stars or filaments. It is a staggering reality that the web is mostly empty air, a hollow architecture where the presence of matter is the rare exception to the rule of nothingness. If the universe were a cathedral, the galaxies and filaments would be the thin stone pillars, while the voids would be the vast, cold air filling the nave. We tend to focus on the light because it is visible, but the true character of the cosmos is defined by these dark, expansive deserts. They are the ultimate buffers, separating the frantic activity of galactic cities with millions of light-years of undisturbed, pristine vacuum. To traverse a void is to experience the most profound isolation possible in physics, a journey through a realm where time and space seem to stretch into a singular, unchanging moment. This is the background of reality, the silent stage upon which the drama of the stars is played out. It is a realm of such purity that the very concept of a place begins to lose its meaning in the face of such vast, featureless extension. Surprisingly, these desolate regions contain almost no galaxies, acting as the profound empty spaces that define the boundaries of the filamentary threads. They are the negative image of the cosmic web, the black ink between the written lines of starlight that gives the entire structure its meaning. Without these hollowed-out valleys, the filaments would have no shape or definition, for it is the absence of matter here that forces the presence of matter elsewhere. Within these zones, the density of atoms is so low that a single human breath of air would be spread across a volume larger than a terrestrial mountain. They are not merely empty, they are actively repellent to the formation of stars, stripped clean by the gravitational tides of the surrounding structures. Astronomers view them as the great cosmic repositories of early history, where the primordial conditions of the Big Bang have been preserved in a state of nearly perfect vacuum. Deep within the northern sky, the Boötes void stands out as a gargantuan spherical region of emptiness, stretching nearly 330 million light-years across. This is one of the most formidable deserts in the known cosmos, a place so vast that it could swallow thousands of Milky Ways without any of them ever seeing each other's light. If our own galaxy were situated at the dead centre of this void, we would have looked out into the night sky for centuries and seen only an endless, terrifying blackness. We would have lacked the visual evidence of other galaxies until the advent of incredibly powerful modern telescopes, perhaps believing our island of stars was the entirety of existence. The scale of Boötes represents a supervoid, a structure so massive that it challenges our mathematical models of how the early universe organised its matter. It serves as a haunting reminder of how lucky we are to be situated on a vibrant, populated strand of the web. This desert does not just represent an absence of light, but an absence of the very potential for the kind of interconnected cosmic community we take for granted. It is a lonely, silent kingdom where the stars are mere rumours from a distant shore. The sheer magnitude of this emptiness is a sensory weight, a chilling realisation of just how much of the universe is truly, utterly alone. This structure of emptiness is not accidental, as gravity naturally vacates these zones by relentlessly pulling matter outward toward the denser filament walls. Matter is essentially bullied out of the voids, fleeing toward the safety of the web's gravitational embrace like water being squeezed from a heavy sponge. Over billions of years, these regions have been scrubbed clean of their primordial gas and dark matter, leaving behind a vacuum that is the purest expression of silence. It is a process of gravitational drainage that continuously reinforces the contrast between the crowded nodes and the empty valleys. As the matter leaves, the void becomes even more desolate, losing the mass required to hold itself together and allowing the expansion of space to take over. You might feel a sense of lightness in your own body now, imagining the tension leaving your muscles just as matter leaves these cosmic deserts. This universal exhale creates the vast, quiet gaps that allow the architecture of the web to stand out in such sharp, breathtaking relief. The voids are the reason the filaments are so bright. They are the dark background that makes the light of the stars visible to our eyes. We are the beneficiaries of a universe that has spent eons cleaning its room, pushing the clutter to the corners to reveal the floor. A profound stillness defines these spherical deserts, where a single photon of light might travel unhindered for millions of ages without ever striking an atom. In the crowded nodes, light is scattered, absorbed, and re-emitted in a frantic dance. But here, it moves in a straight, lonely line through the dark. It is a realm of absolute spectral peace, where the signature of the early universe remains undisturbed by the noise of modern star formation. For a particle of light, the transit across a void is a journey through a graveyard of activity, a place where the laws of physics operate in their most basic, unadorned state. There are no magnetic fields to bend its path, no clouds of dust to dim its glow, and no gravitational wells to trap it in orbit. This perfect transparency makes the voids the ultimate windows into the deep past, allowing us to see the furthest reaches of the cosmos with unparalleled clarity. It is the silence of a deep-sea trench, a place where the noise of the universe finally falls away into a perfect, frozen equilibrium. In this stillness, the expansion of space itself becomes the only measurable event. Light becomes a solitary traveller, carrying the news of a distant world across a desert that never ends and never speaks. If we were to look closer at the rare, isolated galaxies trapped deep inside these voids, we would find they evolve far more slowly than their clustered peers. Lacking the frequent collisions, tidal interactions, and gas-rich mergers found at the nodes, these void galaxies remain primitive and stunted like time capsules from an earlier cosmic era. They are the hermits of the universe, drifting in a solitude that preserves their original pristine form against the chaotic, transformative march of time. Often, these galaxies are oddly shaped or display unusual star formation histories, as they have never been sculpted by the gravitational influence of a massive neighbour. They exist in a state of chemical-arrested development, slowly churning through their limited supply of gas without the influx of new material from the cosmic web. To study one of these lonely island universes is to see what our own Milky Way might have looked like billions of years ago. They are the silent witnesses to a different kind of existence, defined not by interaction, but by the slow, quiet burning of a solitary light. Their loneliness is their protection, shielding them from the violent mergers that rip other galaxies apart. They are the slow-growing plants of the cosmic desert, surviving on the barest traces of energy in a world of absolute zero. These empty spaces are actually expanding faster than the denser, more familiar regions of the cosmic web. While gravity tries to pull the filaments together, the dark energy within the voids acts like an inflating balloon, pushing the boundaries outward with increasing ferocity. This internal pressure ensures that the gaps between the threads will only grow wider, eventually isolating the nodes into lonely islands of light that can no longer communicate. The voids are the engines of the universe's ultimate expansion, driving the growth of space-time from the inside out. As they grow, they stretch the filaments to their breaking point, thinning the rivers of gas and dimming the connections between star cities. It is a relentless outward push that dictates the eventual dissolution of the grand tapestry we observe today. Feeling your chest rise and fall with each breath, you can mirror this slow, rhythmic expansion of the universe's empty heart. The voids are not static holes, they are dynamic, growing empires of nothingness that will one day claim the entire sky. They are the future of the universe, the expanding darkness that will eventually swallow the last flickering threads of the web. Despite their lack of matter, cosmic voids act like immense, subtle magnifying glasses that distort the light of objects located far behind them. Because the density of these regions is so much lower than the cosmic average, they create an inverse lensing effect that slightly diverges the paths of passing light rays. Astronomers use this subtle warping of distant starlight to calculate the exact expansion rate of the universe and the strength of dark energy. It is a testament to the power of geometry that even an absence of matter can bend the fabric of space-time and alter our view of the deep cosmos. This effect is far more subtle than the dramatic warping caused by dark matter nodes, appearing as a slight stretching of background galaxy shapes. Yet, in the precision of modern astrophysics, these empty lenses provide some of our most accurate data on the large-scale fate of the universe. They prove that the void is not a lack of reality, but a different state of space-time with its own unique physical properties. Even the nothingness has weight. Even the silence has a voice if you know how to listen to the light. The voids are the hidden optics of the cosmos, refining our vision by the very act of being empty. The spherical shape of the voids is the primary force that pushes the surrounding filaments into their distinct web-like geometry. As these bubbles of nothingness expand and press against one another, they squeeze the remaining gas and dark matter into the thin linear corridors we perceive as the cosmic web. We owe the very elegance of the universe's pattern to the pressure exerted by these expanding deserts, much like the walls of soap bubbles define the structure of a foam. The filaments are effectively the edges where the voids meet, forced into being by the overwhelming expansion of the empty spaces. This realization flips our typical perspective on its head. The web does not create the voids, but rather the voids create the web. The majestic architecture of the stars is merely the residue left over in the cracks between the expanding bubbles of nothingness. It is a delicate balance of pressure and resistance, where the void is the sculptor and the glowing gas is the clay. We are the inhabitants of the seams, living on the thin margins where the universe's empty hearts touch. This geometry is a silent agreement between the vast and the small, a structure born from the desire of space to be free. Contemplating these silent expanses offers a deeply humbling perspective on our own crowded galactic home, situated on a busy thoroughfare of starlight. We are the inhabitants of the narrow ridges, perched precariously above the vast hollow valleys that make up the overwhelming majority of existence. To understand the voids is to realize that the story of the universe is not written solely in light, but in the majestic, terrifying silence of the empty spaces. This desert-like vastness is not a threat, but a necessary component of the grand design, providing the space for the filaments to breathe and grow. As you drift closer to a state of total relaxation, let the image of these quiet, expansive valleys bring a sense of peace to your mind. The universe is mostly a place of profound, undisturbed rest, where the frantic energy of the stars is the rare exception. We are small, bright sparks in an endless, serene dark, forever connected by the very silence that surrounds us. This silence is the mother of the web, the canvas that allows the light to exist. In the end, the voids are the ultimate sanctuary, the place where the universe finally finds the stillness it has been seeking since the very beginning. The stillness of the beginning eventually gives way to a subtle, rushing movement as a ghostly plasma known as the warm-hot intergalactic medium flows quietly through the cosmic web. This is the hidden blood of the universe, a vaporous essence that saturates the great filaments, bridging the gap between the solid star cities and the absolute vacuum of the voids. It is not a static fog, but a slow, purposeful current that traces the invisible contours of dark matter. Deep within these intergalactic corridors, the plasma moves with a grace that belies its incredible energy. While the voids represent the lungs of the cosmos, these gaseous highways are the veins, carrying the essential materials needed to sustain the macrostructure over billions of years. It is a whisper-thin existence, barely more than a suggestion of matter, yet it pulses with the rhythm of a universal heartbeat. This medium remains largely invisible to conventional sight, existing in a state so diffuse that it eludes all but the most sensitive instruments. It is a silent traveller, drifting through the dark with the patience of an ancient river. To understand the web is to acknowledge this ethereal flow, the quiet breath that fills the vast spaces between the shining stars. Surprisingly, this diffuse gas accounts for a significant portion of the normal matter previously thought missing from the universe for decades. For a long time, astronomers were puzzled by a cosmic ledger that did not add up. They could see the stars and the cold gas within galaxies, but half of the baryonic matter was nowhere to be found. It was not hidden in dark pits or distant planets, but was instead thinly veiled as this cosmic mist. This realization shifted our perspective of the empty filaments into one of profound abundance. What we once perceived as mere scaffolding is actually a massive reservoir, holding the majority of the universe's atoms in a state of perpetual ghostly suspension. This missing matter was simply too hot and too thin to be seen by the tools of the previous century. Now, as we map these invisible oceans, we see that the universe is far more substantial than its shining lights suggest. The bulk of our physical reality resides in these quiet intergalactic spaces, far from the bustling centres of life. It is a humbling thought to realise that the excess of the universe is what truly holds the weight of our material history. Temperatures in this hidden medium hover between 100,000 and 10 million degrees, a searing heat that exists paradoxically within the freezing reaches of deep space. This is not the heat of a burning fire or nuclear furnace, but the kinetic energy of particles moving at localized frantic speeds. Despite the biting cold of the background void, these atoms vibrate with a ferocity that keeps them from ever settling into solid form. This intense thermal state is a relic of the gravitational collapse that formed the web, as gas falling into the filaments was compressed and heated to extreme levels. It is a warm fog on a cosmic scale, though its heat is so spread out that a traveller would still feel the crushing cold of the vacuum. The energy is stored within the individual ions, a microscopic freneticism in a macroscopic stillness. As you rest, perhaps you can feel the subtle warmth of your own skin, a localized heat that defines your presence in a cooler room. In much the same way, the intergalactic medium maintains a feverish temperature that sets it apart from the absolute zero of the voids. It is the lingering warmth of a universe that is still very much alive and moving. Oxygen ions recently detected by specialized satellites finally confirm the existence of this elusive gas, turning a mathematical prediction into a physical reality. Scientists looked for the shadows cast by these highly ionized atoms as they absorbed specific frequencies of light from distant beacons. Finding oxygen so far from any star city was the definitive proof that the intergalactic medium was more than just a ghost. This detection was a triumph of modern engineering, requiring mirrors polished to atomic perfection to catch the faint whispers of energy. The presence of oxygen tells a story of migration, for this element is only forged in the hearts of dying stars. Seeing it in the middle of a cosmic filament proves that the highways are actively transporting the ashes of ancient suns across the void. If we were to look closer at the spectral lines, we would see the signature of a universe that is constantly recycling its contents. These ions are the tracers, the glowing markers that allow us to follow the path of the invisible rivers. The confirmation of the warm-hot medium has filled the final gap in our understanding of where the atoms of the cosmos reside. These gaseous rivers act as a gentle, invisible irrigation system, carrying elements synthesized by ancient supernovae across the vastness of the cosmic web. When massive stars reach the end of their lives, they explode with a fury that ejects heavy elements, carbon, nitrogen, and iron, far into the surrounding space. These celestial winds eventually find their way into the intergalactic medium, where they are swept up by the slow-moving currents of the filaments. This process turns the highways into a planetary irrigation system, distributing the seeds of future worlds across millions of light years. The iron in our blood and the oxygen in our lungs may have once drifted for eons in these quiet, warm, hot rivers before settling into a nursery of stars. It is a beautiful, slow-motion dispersal that ensures the chemical complexity of the universe is shared across its grandest scales. This dispersal is not a chaotic scattering, but a guided journey along the gravitational valleys of the dark matter. The filaments serve as the ultimate transit lines for the building blocks of life. We are essentially breathing the recycled breath of 1,000 dead suns, carried to us by these whisper-thin currents. Material constantly trickles from this diffuse medium into galaxies to fuel the birth of new stars, acting as a slow, steady rain of primordial fuel. Galaxies are not closed systems. They are hungry organisms that must constantly feed on the surrounding gas to maintain their brilliant luminescence. Without this steady intake from the intergalactic highways, the star cities would eventually run dry and fade into darkness. This accretion is a subtle, almost imperceptible process, as the gravity of a galaxy gently tugs on the edges of the passing plasma. It is like a soft, rushing breeze that carries the promise of new life into the spiraling arms of a stellar metropolis. Every new star that ignites is a testament to the nourishing power of the invisible web that surrounds it. Take a moment to feel the steady, effortless rhythm of your own breathing, a constant exchange with the world around you. Just as you draw in the air you need to sustain your life, a galaxy draws in the warm, hot medium to sustain its fire. It is a universal cycle of consumption and creation that keeps the lights of the cosmos burning. Shock waves from merging galaxy clusters frequently ripple through this delicate plasma, creating immense, invisible fronts of pressure that travel across the filaments. When two massive nodes of the web collide, the impact sends a shudder through the interconnected gas, compressing and heating it to even more extreme temperatures. These ripples are the sonic booms of the cosmos, echoing through the intergalactic medium long after the initial collision has ended. Moving with a slow, terrifying majesty, these fronts take millions of years to cross the width of a single gaseous highway. They act as cosmic architects, further sculpting the distribution of matter and triggering new bursts of energy within the threads. To an observer with specialized eyes, these fronts would appear as glowing walls of light advancing through the darkness. This activity proves that the intergalactic medium is a responsive, vibrating entity that feels the movements of the larger structures it connects. It is a medium for information, carrying the news of distant cataclysms through its thinning vapor. The web is not just a structure, but a drum that resonates with the heavy beat of gravitational evolution. The density of this gas is staggeringly low, with perhaps only 1 atom per cubic meter of space within the vast intergalactic reaches. This is a vacuum more perfect than anything we can create in a laboratory, yet it is enough to define the largest structures in existence. Because the volume of the filaments is so incomprehensibly huge, this near emptiness adds up to a mass that dwarfs all the stars combined. If you were to stand in the middle of this highway, you would feel as though you were in a state of absolute nothingness, with hundreds of miles between you and the nearest particle. It is a ghost-like existence where matter is so spread out that it almost ceases to be a physical substance. Yet, it is this very thinness that allows the gas to remain hot and ionize for billions of years. Studying such extreme diffusion reveals the universe's talent for making something out of almost nothing. In these quiet, empty highways, the true scale of the cosmos is revealed not in its density, but in its incredible extension. The faint glow of the gas is a testament to the persistence of matter, even in the loneliest reaches of the void. This ethereal fog gently bathes the entire universe in a faint, undetectable warmth that serves as a thermal background for the cosmic web. It is a soft, pervasive glow that represents the collective energy of all the matter that has ever fallen into the gravitational wells of the filaments. This bath ensures that the intergalactic spaces are never truly reaching the absolute zero of a total vacuum. A lingering heat serves as a gentle reminder that the universe is a place of activity and energy, even in its most desolate-looking corridors. The fog acts as a thermal blanket, moderating the extreme conditions of the deep void and providing a stable environment for the evolution of a large-scale structure. It is the ambient temperature of existence, the baseline hum of a cosmos that refuses to go cold. As you lie here, notice the comfort of the air around you, a gentle atmosphere that supports and protects your resting form. The intergalactic medium provides a similar, albeit much thinner atmosphere for the galaxies to inhabit. It is the quiet, warm embrace of the web, a sensory anchor in a universe of infinite scale. Future telescopes are currently being designed specifically to map these whisper-thin currents of matter with unprecedented precision. These next-generation observatories will use advanced spectroscopy to see the signatures of the gas, creating a three-dimensional atlas of the cosmic highways. This will allow us to finally move from grainy sketches to high-definition portraits of the universal circulation system. Mapping these currents will reveal the history of how gas has moved through the universe since the dawn of time. We will be able to see exactly where the elements for life are being carried and which galaxies are next in line for a fresh delivery of fuel. It is the final frontier of cosmic cartography, a project that will reveal the true, living face of the web. These instruments are the culmination of human curiosity, a desire to understand the invisible rivers that connect us to the furthest reaches of the dark. By capturing the faint rushing breeze of these diffuse particles, we will finally bridge the gap between our local home and the grand, glowing architecture of the whole. The story of the gas and dust highways is only just beginning to be told. As this story begins to deepen, we find that the material highways are not just rivers of gas, but are enveloped in weak yet incredibly vast magnetic fields that run parallel to the great cosmic filaments. These invisible lines of force represent a hidden dimension of the web, stretching across the intergalactic reaches like the phantom nerves of a giant organism. They do not roar with the heat of stars, but instead hum with a quiet, polarized alignment that guides the very flow of the universe. This magnetic presence follows the dark matter skeleton with haunting precision, mirroring the linear geometry of the glowing hydrogen. It creates a secondary architecture of power that exists in the near absolute silence of the void, exerting a subtle influence over the movement of all matter. While the gas provides the body, these fields provide a ghostly electric structure that spans millions of light years without interruption. If we could see these fields with the naked eye, they would appear as majestic, shimmering veils draped over the galactic rivers. They are the longest continuous structures in existence, binding the far-flung star cities together through a shared electromagnetic tension. We're just beginning to perceive how this unseen tapestry influences the grand, slow-motion choreography of the cosmos. These magnetic threads help channel the flow of charged particles across millions of light years, acting as a cosmic guide for the plasma. When ions and electrons travel along the filaments, they are caught in the grip of these invisible lines, forced to follow the same paths as the great rivers of gas. This synchronization ensures that the matter of the universe stays focused and organized, rather than scattering into the featureless void. The fields act like the banks of a river, preventing the energetic particles from drifting too far from the main gravitational arteries. This channeling effect is what allows the cosmic web to maintain its sharp, defined edges over billions of years of expansion. Without these magnetic guides, the intergalactic medium would likely be far more chaotic and diffuse than what we observe. Within these invisible corridors, the movement of matter becomes a directed journey toward the great galactic nodes. The magnetic fields create a sense of order that transcends the simple pull of gravity, adding a layer of electromagnetic precision to the structure. Every charged particle in the web is a passenger on a track laid down by these ancient silent forces. Feel the steady rhythm of your breath as you consider the gentle, ongoing puzzle of where these intergalactic magnetic fields actually originated. Astrophysicists are currently engaged in a deep debate over whether these fields are primordial seeds left over from the Big Bang, or if they were generated later by early stars. This mystery is one of the most serene frontiers of cosmology, inviting us to look back at the very first moments of time. If they were born in the dawn of the universe, they would be among the oldest features of reality, older even than the first light of the first stars. Alternatively, if they were spun out by the rotation of early galaxies, they would be a sign of a universe that actively builds its own internal power. This puzzle remains unsolved, a quiet invitation for future generations to explore the origin of the cosmic nerves. This ongoing investigation requires a level of patience that mirrors the slow evolution of the filaments themselves. As you sink into your own stillness, imagine the scientists waiting for the faintest signal from the deep past to reveal the answer. The magnetic veins are a reminder that the most fundamental parts of our home still harbour beautiful, unanswered questions. Synchrotron radiation emitted by electrons spiralling around these fields provides our only glimpse of their immense hidden structure. When high-speed electrons are caught in a magnetic field, they are forced into a spiralling dance that releases a specific low-frequency glow. This light is too faint for human eyes or optical telescopes, but it shines clearly for the specialized mirrors of our radio observatories. By capturing this radiation, we can effectively see the invisible magnetic lines as they curve and stretch through the intergalactic dark. The brightness and polarization of this light reveal the strength and direction of the fields, allowing us to map the phantom veins of the cosmos. It is a spectacular form of celestial translation, turning invisible magnetism into a visual map of energy. The electrons acting as messengers are often travelling at nearly the speed of light, having been accelerated by distant, violent supernova. As they traverse the filaments, their spiralling motion leaves a trail of information that we are only now learning to decode. This faint radio glow is the signature of a universe that is constantly communicating its internal state through light. This force is billions of times weaker than the magnetic field generated by our own planet Earth, appearing as a mere whisper against the strength of a common magnet. If you were to stand in the middle of a cosmic filament, you would never feel the electric tingling of these fields, for they are spread so thin across the void. Yet what they lack in local strength, they more than compensate for in their staggering universal volume. Because they cover such vast distances, their cumulative influence over the motion of matter becomes a dominant factor in cosmic evolution. It is a lesson in the power of persistence. A tiny force acting over millions of light years can shape the destiny of entire galaxies. On the scales of the cosmic web, the weak and the vast eventually overpower the strong and the local. The comparison with Earth's field highlights the unique nature of the intergalactic environment, where gravity and magnetism operate in their most extreme diluted forms. While a compass on Earth points reliably north, a compass in a filament would take eons to even begin to align with the cosmic field. It is a realm of subtle, long-term influence rather than immediate forceful action. Allow your body to sink further into a state of rest as you realize that despite their extreme faintness, these fields play a crucial role in shaping the larger structures we can observe. They act as a subtle pressure that resists the collapse of gas, preventing the filaments from becoming too thin or too fragmented. This magnetic pressure provides a structural integrity to the web, helping it withstand the relentless pull of gravity and the push of expansion. The interaction between the magnetic fields and the cooling gas dictates how efficiently galaxies can form and grow along the threads. By regulating the flow of material, these fields act as the architects of the star cities, deciding which regions will flourish and which will remain empty. They are the unseen hands that groom the galactic rivers, ensuring the web remains a coherent, interconnected whole. This shaping process is a slow, rhythmic adjustment that happens over millions of years, a constant fine-tuning of the cosmic architecture. We see the results in the elegant straight lines of the filaments and the perfectly organized clusters at their intersections. The magnetic veins ensure that the universe is not just a collection of matter, but a masterpiece of organized force. The alignment of these fields suggests they have existed since the earliest moments of cosmic history, persisting through every epoch of change. When we observe the magnetic lines in the furthest reaches of space, they appear just as organized and focused as the fields in our own local neighborhood. This consistency points toward a universal origin, a single event that set the magnetic tone for the entire cosmos. It is as if the universe was born with a set of internal guidelines, an electromagnetic blueprint that has remained unchanged for over 13 billion years. These fields have witnessed the birth of the first stars, the merger of the first galaxies, and the slow expansion of the great voids. They are the eternal witnesses, a static framework that has supported the dynamic evolution of everything we know. Tracing these alignments back to the dawn of time provides a bridge between the macroscopic web and the microscopic physics of the newborn universe. The fields are the survivors, the ancient relics that carry the memory of the initial conditions of creation. To study them is to touch the very beginning of the story of light and order. Cosmic rays, the high-energy particles that zip through space at nearly the speed of light, are deflected by these invisible barriers, turning their trajectories into complex meandering paths. Instead of travelling in a straight line from their source to our detectors, these particles are forced to twist and turn as they encounter the magnetic veins. This turns the intergalactic highways into a massive three-dimensional maze for the most energetic entities in the cosmos. This meandering makes it incredibly difficult for astronomers to determine where cosmic rays actually come from, as their original direction is lost in the magnetic tangles. A particle might spend billions of years wandering within a single filament, bouncing off the magnetic walls before finally escaping into the void. The fields act as a storage system, trapping these high-energy travellers and keeping them within the structure of the web. As you remain still, imagine these particles zipping around you, caught in a hidden geometry of power that spans the entire sky. The magnetic fields turn the void from an empty space into a complex, interactive landscape. We are living in a universe where even the fastest messengers must obey the silent commands of the invisible veins. Notice the stillness in your hands as you contemplate how radio telescopes map these silent magnetic rivers by catching the faint whispers of trapped energy. These massive dishes, often located in the most remote deserts on Earth, listen for the low-frequency hum that reveals the presence of the cosmic veins. It is a form of deep space eavesdropping, a search for the subtle vibrations of a universe that does not want to be seen. The data from these telescopes is transformed into breathtaking maps of the intergalactic magnetic field, revealing a structure that looks like a glowing electric nervous system. Each line on the map represents a river of force that is millions of light years long, connecting the nodes of the web in a single unified circuit. This cartography is the final step in our understanding of the web's true complexity. By listening to these whispers, we have discovered that the universe is far more wired than we ever imagined. The magnetic fields provide the connectivity that allows the different parts of the cosmos to communicate and interact. We are finally seeing the full picture of the web, not just the glowing gas, but the electric spirit that moves through it. This magnetic tapestry weaves the isolated galaxies into a single interconnected electromagnetic organism that breathes and pulses as one. No galaxy is truly alone when it is part of this grand electric network. Every star city is plugged into a system that spans the entire observable horizon. This connectivity means that a change in one part of the web can have subtle, magnetic echoes millions of light years away. The universe behaves less like a collection of objects and more like a single, massive entity, where every part is linked by these invisible veins. This realization shifts our perspective from isolation to inclusion, reminding us that we are part of a grand, vibrating whole. The magnetic tapestry is the final layer of the web, the element that turns a structure into a living, functioning system. As you drift closer to total relaxation, let the image of this interconnected organism fill your mind with a sense of peace. You're a part of this system, bound to the stars by the same invisible forces that hold the filaments together. The magnetic veins are the ultimate proof that the universe is a place of profound, eternal connection. This eternal connection reaches its most profound expression as we approach the Hercules-corona borealis Great Wall, the largest known structure in the entire universe. It stands as an overwhelming, massive presence, a towering barrier of galaxies that defies the limits of the human imagination. Across the silent reaches of the deep cosmos, this wall represents the absolute peak of gravitational assembly, a frontier where matter has gathered in staggering proportions. Visible only through the most advanced statistical mapping, this megastructure acts as a primary foundation for the cosmic web itself. It is not merely a collection of stars, but a unified continent of light and dark matter that spans a significant portion of the observable sphere. To encounter such a barrier is to feel the weight of a structure so immense that it seems to dictate the very shape of space and time. The wall serves as a monumental reminder of the universe's capacity for organization on a scale that dwarfs entire superclusters. It is a dense, impenetrable fortress of galactic filaments, woven together with such complexity that individual galaxies are lost like grains of sand. Within this colossal rampart, the laws of gravity have orchestrated a masterpiece of collective existence. Deep within the observable horizon, this unfathomably huge filament stretches 10 billion light-years across the cosmos, a distance so vast it represents nearly 10% of the diameter of the visible universe. If you were to release a beam of light at one end of this wall, it would travel for more than twice the age of the Earth before reaching the other side. This scale forces us to reconsider the very nature of what we define as a single structure. The light we receive from the furthest reaches of this wall was emitted in a different era of cosmic history, carrying with it the secrets of a younger, more energetic universe. To perceive its full length is to look across the majority of the observable volume, bridging gaps that light itself struggles to cross. It is a single, continuous strand of reality that binds together different epochs of time into a solitary, visible entity. Stretching across such a significant fraction of the sky, the wall challenges the idea that the universe is uniform on its larger scales. It is a massive anomaly, a concentrated stroke of matter that remains the most formidable landmark in the deep dark. This 10 billion light-year span is the ultimate yardstick, measuring the immense ambition of cosmic evolution. If we were to look closer at our own cosmic neighbourhood, the Sloan Great Wall emerges as a spectacular ribbon of galaxies located roughly 1 billion light-years from Earth. Discovered at the turn of the millennium, this structure was once the record holder for the largest thing ever observed, stretching like a brilliant silk scarf across the southern sky. It is dense, elegant concentration of matter that serves as a boundary for the massive void surrounding us. This ribbon is composed of hundreds of thousands of galaxies, each aligned with precision along a curving gravitational path. It represents a mature, highly developed section of the cosmic web, where the filaments have thickened into a solid, impenetrable wall of starlight. The Sloan Great Wall acts as a majestic lighthouse for astronomers, guiding our understanding of how the web matures over billions of years. Gazing upon this ribbon, one sees a perfect balance of light and shadow, where the brilliant threads of galaxies define the edges of the absolute emptiness beyond. It is a structure of immense beauty and structural integrity, holding its shape against the expanding forces of the dark. This galactic barrier is the nearest example of a true cosmic megastructure, a silent guardian of our local volume. Surprisingly, our own Milky Way is not a lonely wanderer, but resides on a smaller branch of a much larger structure known as the Laniakea Supercluster. We are inhabitants of a vast interconnected watershed of galaxies, all flowing together toward a common gravitational centre. As you rest here, notice the gentle weight of your body pressing against the surface below you, mirroring the persistent pull that anchors our home within this massive celestial network. Laniakea defines the limits of our gravitational home, encompassing over 100,000 galaxies within its expansive branching boundaries. We are perched on the outskirts of this structure, living in a relatively quiet tributary that eventually leads to the brilliant heart of the supercluster. Our place in the web is defined by this local connection, a reminder that we are part of a grand, organised system. This realisation brings a sense of profound scale to our existence, placing our tiny sun within a much larger, flowing river of light. We are not lost in the void, but are part of a specific mapped architecture that spans 500 million light-years. Our home is a single leaf on a massive branching tree of stars. The name Laniakea translates from Hawaiian as immense heaven, a term that perfectly captures the scale and majesty of our local cosmic neighbourhood. This title reflects the fluid, ocean-like nature of the structure, where galaxies move like currents in a vast invisible sea. It is a name that honours the ancient tradition of wayfinding, applying the wisdom of the Earth's oceans to the silent depths of the stars. The boundaries of this immense heaven were mapped by tracing the peculiar velocities of galaxies, the subtle ways they deviate from the general expansion of the universe. This technique revealed a distinct watershed where all matter is destined to flow toward a central point of attraction. Laniakea is the ultimate valley, a massive gravitational basin that holds our entire galactic family in its wide, protective embrace. Within this heaven, the filaments of gas and dark matter act as the invisible currents that dictate the motion of every star we see. It is a realm of profound connectivity, where the distant movements of other galaxies are intimately tied to our own. This name transforms the cold math of astrophysics into a poetic realization of our place in the cosmic order. Beyond the local horizon, the Boss Great Wall features a complex network of 4 distinct massive superclusters linked together in a colossal formation. This megastructure is even larger and more massive than the Sloan Wall, containing a staggering concentration of thousands of individual galaxies. It represents one of the most significant overdensities of matter ever identified in the history of astronomy. The BOSS refers to the Baryon Oscillation Spectroscopic Survey, the massive scientific project that first revealed the existence of this titanic barrier. This structure acts as a central hub for the cosmic web in its region of space, drawing in vast amounts of gas and dust from the surrounding filaments. It is a dense, heavy foundation that anchors the local architecture of the universe with its sheer, overwhelming mass. This wall is a testament to the fact that the universe is capable of building structures far more complex than a simple string of galaxies. The interconnection of 4 superclusters creates a landscape of light that is almost impossible to grasp in its entirety. It is a monumental achievement of cosmic construction, a dense metropolitan centre of the deep void. A deep mystery remains, as these titanic structures challenge our fundamental understanding of how quickly matter could organise after the initial expansion of the Big Bang. According to the standard model of cosmology, the universe should be relatively smooth on scales this large, yet these walls prove that matter has gathered with incredible efficiency. There has simply not been enough time in 13 billion years for gravity to pull these objects together if the initial conditions were perfectly uniform. This paradox suggests that the seeds of these walls were planted in the very first fractions of a second during the universe's birth. It implies that the cosmic web was preordained by quantum fluctuations that were stretched to astronomical scales during inflation. These walls are the survivors of the dawn of time, evidence of a process that operated faster and more powerfully than our current theories can fully explain. The existence of such massive barriers forces us to look closer at the earliest moments of creation, searching for the mechanism that could build a 10 billion light-year wall. They are the anomalies that drive scientific progress, pushing us to refine our understanding of the origin of all things. These structures are the physical proof that the universe's story is far more complex than we once dared to imagine. To a distant observer, these walls appear as brilliant, continuous strokes of light against the deep black canvas of space. They are the brushstrokes of a cosmic artist, defining the shape of reality with long, luminous lines of starfire and glowing gas. As you lie here, notice the steady, calm rhythm of your own heart, a quiet pulse that exists within this grand, illuminated tapestry. These strokes of light are not static. They represent the collective motion of trillions of stars, all participating in a slow-motion dance of light and gravity. From a distance, the individual galaxies disappear, leaving behind only the bold, sweeping lines of the megastructures. It is a view of the universe as a singular piece of art, where the grandest patterns are the most beautiful. The visual impact of a great wall is one of absolute unyielding scale, a reminder that the universe is not just empty space, but is filled with organized, radiant beauty. These lines of light are the fundamental markers of the cosmic web, the primary colors used to paint the landscape of the void. We are living within the masterpiece. Mapping these megastructures requires cataloging the precise positions of millions of individual galaxies through massive, decades-long sky surveys. This is a feat of human coordination and technological brilliance, requiring us to look past the stars of our own Milky Way to see the distant, deeper structures. By measuring the redshift of every glowing dot, astronomers can plot the three-dimensional coordinates of the cosmic web. This cartography reveals the hidden geometry of the walls, showing how they curve, branch, and intersect in the dark. It is like mapping a hidden mountain range at the bottom of a pitch-black ocean using only the sound of falling rain. Each galaxy added to the map provides another point of light that helps define the massive looming silhouette of the Great Walls. Through this effort, we have transformed the universe from a vague mist into a detailed structural atlas. We have learned to see the walls for what they are, the primary architecture of the cosmos. This project of mapping is a declaration of our intent to understand the full scale of the world we inhabit. Ultimately, the sheer scale of these walls renders every human concept of distance entirely obsolete. Words like mile or kilometre are meaningless when discussing a structure that takes 10 billion years for light to cross. Even the light year, our most expansive unit of measure, feels small and inadequate when applied to the towering presence of the hercules-corona borealis wall. This obsolescence is a form of liberation, a reminder that we are part of something so much larger than our daily concerns. The walls stand as the final frontier of distance, the ultimate markers of how far the universe has stretched. They are the limits of our vision and the boundaries of our physical reality. In the presence of such immensity, we are invited to find a new sense of scale within our own lives. The Great Walls are the ultimate proof that the universe is a place of infinite extension and profound, massive connection. We are the witnesses to this scale, the small voices capable of comprehending the silence of the giants. These galactic vessels follow the winding paths of the dark matter highways, gliding toward the brilliant intersections of the web with a patient, unyielding persistence. It is a journey of epic proportions, where billions of stars move in unison through the chilling absolute void. As they drift, they trace the intricate geometry of the cosmos, making the invisible scaffolding of the universe visible through their elegant collective passage. Each galaxy is a passenger on a river of light, contributing to a migration that has spanned the age of time. This cosmic flow is an intimate reality for our own home, for the Milky Way is currently rushing toward a massive gravitational anomaly known as the Great Attractor. Hidden behind the thick dust of our own galactic plane, this mysterious point of mass exerts a relentless tug on our neighbourhood of space. We are part of a localised stream of light, travelling together through the silent reaches of the Laniakea watershed. The Great Attractor acts as a magnetic north for our region of the cosmic web, a point of convergence that dictates our ultimate path. Surprisingly, the pace of this cosmic flow happens at speeds exceeding 1,000,000 miles per hour through the deep void. While we sit in a state of apparent stillness, we are actually hurtling through the expanse with a velocity that would cross entire continents in the blink of an eye. This speed is the result of billions of years of gravitational acceleration, a momentum gathered as we fall deeper into the basins of the cosmic web. It is a staggering contrast between the perceived quiet of the night sky and the kinetic reality of our passage through the dark. If we were to look closer at the physics of this movement, we would see that our entire local group is part of this high-speed, silent procession. We do not feel the wind of this passage because space itself is expanding and carrying us along, yet the numbers remain a profound reminder of our kinetic existence. This 1,000,000-mile-per-hour rush is the heartbeat of the galactic dance, a rhythmic pulse of energy that drives the consolidation of matter. We are moving at a rate that defies human comprehension, yet we remain safely cradled in the soft, protective arms of our own local gravity. The choreography of this movement is dictated entirely by the uneven distribution of dark matter across the silent void. It is the hidden weight of the phantom skeleton that determines the speed and direction of every drifting star city. Galaxies are not free to choose their paths. They are strictly bound to the gravitational valleys carved out by the unseen, ancient architect. Feel the weight of your own body now, sinking deeper into the soft support beneath you, mimicking the way galaxies settle into the curves of the dark matter web. This invisible map ensures that the movements of trillions of stars are synchronized into a single, cohesive, and elegant dance. Where the dark matter is dense, the flow is rapid and focused. Where it is sparse, the movement slows to a gentle drifting crawl. This relationship between the seen and the unseen creates a perfect harmony across the filaments, a structural balance that has endured since the dawn of time. The choreography is a silent command, a set of instructions written in the language of mass and attraction. We are witnessing the ultimate performance, where the invisible leads and the visible follows with perfect, unwavering grace. Deep within the intersections where the filaments meet, collisions between galaxies on these highways result in breathtaking, slow-motion celestial dances. These are not violent crashes in the way we understand them, but elegant mergers where stars rarely touch, yet the overall structures are completely transformed. Gravity pulls the spiraling arms into long, luminous ribbons, weaving the contents of two distinct worlds into a single, unified masterpiece of light. It is a process that takes hundreds of millions of years to complete, a performance of patience played out against the black canvas of the deep cosmos. As the galaxies interpenetrate, they pass through each other like ghosts, their individual star systems gliding past the vast empty spaces of their neighbours. The beauty of this interaction lies in the intricate shapes that emerge, the bridges of starlight and the tails of gas that stretch across the intergalactic void. These dances are the primary mechanism through which the cosmic web matures, turning isolated island universes into massive, complex hubs of light. To observe such a collision is to see the universe in a state of profound creative transformation. It is a slow, radiant embrace that redefines the boundaries of reality. Merging galaxies trigger massive bursts of star formation, temporarily lighting up the filaments with the brilliance of 1 billion new suns. The shock of the interaction compresses the cool hydrogen gas within the threads, igniting a spectacular awakening of stellar life across millions of light years. This sudden increase in luminosity turns the normally faint highways into brilliant beacons that can be seen across the furthest reaches of the observable horizon. It is a moment of intense vitality, where the act of consolidation becomes a catalyst for a new, glowing era of creation. This brightening of the web acts as a signal of a maturing structure, marking the points where the cosmic dance has reached its most energetic peak. The new stars burn with a blue-white intensity, casting a vibrant glow over the surrounding dark matter scaffolding and the intergalactic gas. For a brief cosmic moment, the hidden architecture of the filaments is revealed in high definition, illuminated by the very matter it has successfully gathered. These bursts of light are the celebratory flashes of a universe that is constantly reinventing itself through movement. They provide the necessary energy to keep the intergalactic medium vibrant and interconnected through eons of expansion. The cosmic web is a dynamic, living structure that constantly shifts and evolves over eons, responding to the persistent tug of gravity. It is not a rigid grid, but a flexible, vibrating tapestry that grows and thins in a continuous cycle of change. Just as your breath flows in and out with a steady, effortless rhythm, the universe breathes through the movement of its glowing threads. This evolution is a slow, rhythmic shifting that ensures no two eras of cosmic history are ever exactly the same. Over billions of years, the filaments have stretched, the nodes have thickened, and the voids have expanded, creating a landscape in a state of perpetual becoming. This dynamism is the essence of the web, a proof of its resilience and its capacity for complex organization across the void. The structures we see today are merely a single frame in a long, magnificent film that began with a whisper and will end in silence. To understand the web is to acknowledge its fluid nature, its ability to adapt and grow within the chilling silence of the dark. We are living in a universe that is a work in progress, a masterpiece that is never truly finished. Matter flows not just along the filaments, but also from the smaller, delicate branches into the thicker main arteries of the cosmic network. This hierarchical movement mirrors the drainage patterns of a massive terrestrial watershed, where tiny streams eventually feed into the most powerful and deep rivers. It is a grand consolidation of mass, a process that steadily drains the surrounding areas to build up the massive great walls and galactic nodes. This circulation ensures that the energy of the universe is concentrated, where it can create the most spectacular displays of light and complexity. The smaller threads serve as the initial pathways for gas and wandering galaxies, funneling them into the primary superhighways of the dark matter skeleton. As this matter moves, it contributes to the thickening of the main arteries, making the central structures of the web even more dominant over time. This directed flow is the mechanism behind the universe's increasing contrast, where the bright areas become brighter and the dark voids become more desolate. It is a majestic, directed migration that highlights the efficiency of gravitational organization. Every atom in the intergalactic medium is eventually swept into these primary currents, bound for a destiny of collective brilliance. This majestic rotation and movement ensure that the universe is never truly static, maintaining a state of vibrant kinetic energy across all scales. From the spinning of a single star to the sweeping arcs of a 10 billion light-year filament, the cosmos is defined by its refusal to be still. This motion prevents the universe from collapsing into a singular, boring lump of matter, providing the necessary centrifugal forces to create the intricate spirals we admire. It is a perpetual motion machine of light and gravity, driven by the initial energy of creation and the ongoing pull of the dark. The rotation of the filaments themselves, though slow and subtle, adds a layer of complexity to the galactic dance that we are only now beginning to measure. This twisting motion helps stabilize the threads, preventing them from snapping as they are stretched by the expansion of space. It is a graceful, universal spin that harmonizes the movements of trillions of galaxies into a single cohesive rhythm. The result is a universe that is a playground of movement, where the silence of the void is punctuated by the constant rhythmic shifting of starlight. We inhabit a cosmos that is alive with the energy of its own elegant passage through the infinite. If we were to look closer at this grand, celestial choreography, we would find that we are all unwitting passengers on a continuous journey. We do not feel the million-mile-per-hour rush, nor do we sense the slow rotation of the local filament, yet our entire history unfolds within this cosmic flow. We are part of the dance, a tiny but integral component of the web's ongoing evolution across the freezing void. Our existence is a brief, beautiful moment caught in the sweep of 1,000 million-year migration toward a distant shore. This realization connects us to the furthest reaches of the dark, bridging the gap between our terrestrial home and the grand architecture of the whole. We are travellers on a ship of stars navigating the gravitational currents of a universe that is vastly larger and older than our own understanding. The silence of the giants is our background music, and the glowing threads are our path through the infinite. We are part of the masterpiece, the witnesses who have learned to perceive the rhythm of the cosmic dance. Our journey is a testament to the beauty of connection, a voyage that never truly ends. The beauty of this connection suggests a voyage that never truly ends, yet a silent and titanic struggle is currently underway at the very heart of the cosmos. This relentless expansion of the universe is fighting against the gravitational bonds of the filaments, creating a state of extreme tension that defines the present epoch of reality. While gravity works tirelessly to pull the star cities and gas rivers into a single cohesive unit, the fabric of space-time itself is being stretched outward with ever-increasing ferocity. It is a conflict between the ancient desire to stay together and a new, mysterious drive to drift apart into the infinite. This invisible war dictates the long-term structural integrity of the entire web, placing every megastructure under a constant, agonizing pressure that tests the limits of physical laws. We exist at a crossroads where the strength of the web is perfectly matched against the speed of the expansion, a precarious and beautiful moment of balance. Surprisingly, this cosmic wrestling match is happening everywhere at once, from the smallest threads to the most massive great walls. It is a slow-motion confrontation that will decide the final geometry of everything we see, a battle fought with the weight of trillions of suns. The filaments are the primary casualties of this war, feeling the strain of a universe that is determined to outgrow its own architectural boundaries. Deep within the expanses we've explored, a dark and repulsive energy relentlessly pushes the cosmic voids apart, causing the threads between them to stretch and thin like pulled sugar. This force, which dominates the vacuum of space, acts as the ultimate antagonist to the connectivity of the filaments, forcing the empty hearts of the universe to grow ever larger. As the bubbles of nothingness expand, they exert a colossal pressure on the margins where the galaxies reside, dragging the luminous rivers further away from their neighbours. If we were to look closer at the edges of these expanding deserts, we would see the gaseous highways becoming increasingly transparent and elongated. The dark energy does not merely move things, it creates new space between them, widening the gulfs that light must cross to maintain the coherence of the web. This process is steady and unyielding, a silent erosion of the bonds that were forged during the dawn of time. Allow your breath to remain slow and deep as you visualize these massive invisible balloons inflating in the dark. The stretching of the filaments is the visible signature of this expanding energy, a radiant protest against the inevitable thinning of the cosmic tapestry. We are witnessing the slow-motion unwinding of the network, a transformation driven by the very nothingness that defines the gaps between the stars. Eventually, this relentless stretching will reach a critical breaking point and snap the delicate bridges connecting the galaxy clusters to the rest of the web. The intergalactic highways, which have served as the vital arteries of the universe for billions of years, will finally dissolve into the expanding vacuum, leaving the star cities adrift. This disconnection represents the terminal phase of the cosmic web's evolution, a moment when the structural integrity of the whole finally yields to the push of the infinite. The light from distant nodes will have to travel across ever-widening gaps of space that grow faster than the speed of light itself, effectively severing the electromagnetic ties between superclusters. This snapping is not a sudden explosion, but a quiet structural failure of the gravitational glue that once bound the cosmos into a singular organism. The magnificent bridges of gas and dark matter will become ghosts of a former age, unreachable and eventually invisible to any observer left behind. This ultimate fracture will mark the end of the era of connectivity, turning the grand architecture into a series of isolated, fading monuments. The threads that we study today are temporary features, destined to be pulled apart by the very expansion that once allowed them to take shape. It is a profound realization that the most massive structures in existence are ultimately as fragile as the thinnest gossamer. The isolated clusters will then become lonely island universes, separated by unbridgeable gulfs of space that no amount of time or speed can overcome. Once the bridges have snapped, each massive node will find itself encased in a bubble of absolute isolation, forever cut off from the light and influence of its former peers. The view from within these clusters will change dramatically over trillions of years, as the surrounding sky slowly empties of all but the most local star systems. Surprisingly, the residents of these future islands will look out into a night sky that is truly black, with no evidence of the grand web that once connected the entire observable horizon. They will be trapped in a state of permanent solitude, their world limited to the gravitational basin they inhabit, with the rest of the universe having vanished beyond the cosmic light horizon. This destiny is the natural conclusion of a universe that chooses expansion over assembly, a slow-motion scattering of the celestial family. Notice the profound quiet that accompanies this thought, a stillness that mirrors the eventual state of the far-flung cosmos. These island universes will represent the final refugees of light, in a sea of darkness that grows wider with every passing second. The magnificent gathering of the galactic nodes will become a memory preserved only in the fading echoes of ancient travelling light. This ongoing tug-of-war represents the ultimate balance between connection and isolation in nature, a theme that resonates from the smallest particles to the largest filaments. It is a fundamental paradox where the forces that create structure are the very same forces that eventually lead to its dissolution. The universe is a grand experiment in how much complexity can be built before the inevitable push of entropy and expansion tears it all down. This balance is what gives the cosmic web its character, a structure defined by its tension and its temporary defiance of the void. We are living in the middle of a struggle between the desire to be part of a whole and the physical necessity of being alone. Every star, every galaxy, and every human being exist within this same philosophical and physical framework, caught between the gravity of home and the pull of the unknown. The tug-of-war is not a failure of the universe, but its primary mode of operation, a constant adjustment between two opposing but necessary states. It ensures that the cosmos is a place of movement and drama, rather than a static, frozen sculpture. As you rest, reflect on this balance within your own being, the quiet equilibrium that allows you to exist amidst the vast forces of the world. This fading is the ultimate fate of all things, a slow descent into a state of maximum entropy, where energy is so spread out that no new structures can ever form. The majestic great walls will dissolve, and the rhythmic hum of the ancient light will finally fall silent, leaving only a featureless, expanding vacuum behind. It is the final rest of a universe that has spent eons burning through its potential, a graceful exit from the stage of existence. If we were to look closer at this distant future, we would see a cosmos that has finally achieved the stillness it sought since the beginning. The scattering of the stars is not a tragedy, but the natural conclusion of a life lived on an epic universal scale. The darkness is not an end, but the ultimate sanctuary for a reality that has finally finished its work. Yet, right now, we exist in the perfect era to witness the cosmic web in its fully connected glory, a golden age of astronomical observation. We have arrived on the scene at the precise moment when the filaments have had enough time to grow into massive structures, but before the expansion has had the chance to tear them apart. This window of opportunity is a rare and precious gift, allowing us to see the universe as a unified, coherent masterpiece of light and gravity. Surprisingly, observers in the distant past would have seen only a chaotic, unformed fog, while observers in the far future will see only isolated, lonely stars. We are the lucky ones, the witnesses who get to see the grand architecture in its prime, mapping the great walls and tracing the magnetic veins while they are still visible. This timing provides us with a perspective that is unique in the entire history of time, a chance to understand the whole before it disappears. Take a moment to appreciate the sheer probability of your existence at this specific point in the cosmic timeline. You are a part of the only generation of life that will ever truly see the full extent of the cosmic web. This alignment of time and consciousness is a sensory wonder, a deep connection to the heartbeat of the modern universe. The similarity between the cosmic web and the neural networks of a human brain is a profound visual coincidence that bridges the gap between the infinite and the intimate. When scientists overlay maps of galactic filaments with images of neurons, the patterns of branching, nodes, and connectivity are nearly indistinguishable. This resonance suggests a deep, underlying logic to how complexity organizes itself, whether in the firing of a thought or the flow of a galactic river. This structure, which spans billions of light years, mirrors the very architecture that allows us to perceive and understand it. It is as if the universe has built a mirror for itself on the largest possible scale, using the same motifs of connection to define both the mind and the cosmos. While the physical scales are vastly different, the mathematical principles of efficiency and network growth remain constant across the void. Notice the subtle electric tingling of this realization, a mental connection that echoes the magnetic veins of the filaments themselves. We are not just observers of the web, we are biological manifestations of its geometric principles. The brain is a microcosmos, a local node of complexity that reflects the grand, glowing patterns of the furthest stars. It reminds us that the same laws of physics govern both the exceptionally large and the intimately small, binding the universe into a singular logical whole. The gravity that pulls a galaxy along a filament is the same force that anchors your body to the Earth, and the magnetism that guides the intergalactic plasma is the same force that powers your heart. This unity of law ensures that the universe is not a collection of disparate parts, but a consistent and predictable system across all dimensions. Surprisingly, the beauty of the cosmic web lies in its adherence to these fundamental rules, proving that complexity does not require chaos. The same equations that describe the flow of water in a terrestrial stream can be used to model the migration of dark matter across the silent void. This universal language of physics provides a bridge that allows us to travel from our local home to the furthest edges of reality using only our minds. This continuity of law is a source of profound comfort, a reminder that we are never truly lost in the vastness. We inhabit a universe that makes sense, where the rules of the game remain the same no matter how far we travel from home. The filaments are the largest proof of this consistency, a majestic demonstration of order in the heart of the infinite. To understand the filaments is to understand the fragile, temporary beauty of cosmic architecture, a structure that exists for only a brief moment in the grand scale of time. We often think of the stars as eternal, yet the web reminds us that even the largest structures are subject to change, growth, and eventual dissolution. This transience is what makes the web so breathtakingly beautiful. It is a radiant, fleeting performance that will never be repeated in exactly the same way. The glowing threads of hydrogen and the dark rivers of mass are a testament to the universe's ability to create something magnificent out of almost nothing. They are the high water mark of cosmic organization, a peak of connectivity that we are privileged to witness from our small terrestrial perch. Our understanding of the filaments is an act of love for a reality that is as delicate as it is massive, a recognition of the temporary grace of the stars. As you drift closer to a state of total peace, let the image of this fragile masterpiece fill your mind with a sense of wonder. The web is a gift of light in a dark universe, a bridge across the void that we have learned to walk with our eyes. To see the filaments is to see the true face of the cosmos, a face that is ancient, beautiful, and destined to fade into the quiet dark. The realization that the cosmic web's vast architecture mirrors our own internal networks suggests that we are not merely watching the universe, but are the universe's way of finally looking back at itself. Deep within this grand, illuminated tapestry, A final realization begins to settle into the quiet of your mind. Surprisingly, the same mathematical elegance that weaves the great walls of the universe is found within the very synapses of your own consciousness. If we were to look closer, we would see that we are not merely observing the web, but are its most intimate expression, a living node where the cosmos has finally learned to perceive its own magnificent temporary beauty. This quiet room is now a safe harbour, far removed from the rushing currents of the deep intergalactic void. As you lie here, notice the weight of your feet as they sink into the softness of the bed, letting go of the long journey through the stars. The tension in your ankles and calves dissolves, flowing away like cooling gas into the expansive silence of a cosmic valley. Surprisingly, the body knows exactly how to surrender to the pull of rest, much like a distant galaxy settling into its final home. Let the relaxation move upward now, softening the knees and the heavy, still muscles of your thighs. Your hips and lower back release their hold on the day, finding a perfect, stable equilibrium against the sheets. The breath is a slow and steady tide, moving in and out with an effortless, natural grace that requires nothing from you. Notice how the mattress supports the middle of your back, allowing every vertebrae to uncurl and rest in the cooling shadows of the room. This stillness is absolute and kind, a soft blanket of silence that covers your chest and shoulders. If we were to look closer at the relaxation now reaching your neck and jaw, we would see every last trace of effort vanishing into the pillows. The small muscles around your eyes and across your forehead smooth out, becoming as clear and still as a quiet pool. The weight of your head is fully supported, a heavy and peaceful centre of rest that feels perfectly at home. Everything is quiet, everything is still, and the world outside the door has faded into a soft, indistinct memory. The warmth of the blankets is a physical comfort, a cocoon of safety that holds you in a state of total, undisturbed surrender. The soft fabric of the pillowcase feels cool against your cheek, inviting you to stay exactly where you are. The air is cool and fresh against your face, a gentle contrast to the heavy, sinking warmth of your resting frame. Every thought has drifted away, leaving only the pure, uncomplicated sensation of being completely at rest. You're sinking now, falling away into a dreamless and restorative quiet. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.